How to choose a sapphire? Here's a little lesson in jewelry today from the house of Manalys. Spotlight on Brussels and one of its most elegant streets. Perpendicular to the famous Avenue Louise, Waterloo Boulevard with its chic boutiques and prestigious labels. Among them are a number of jewelers with famous names, whether it is Tiffany, Bulgari, or Cartier. But it is a lesser-known name, but not for too much longer, that interests us today, Manalys, a contraction of the name of the craftsman jeweler with renowned expertise, Moise Mann, and the lys, the flower he has chosen as the brand symbol. It was in 2009 that this expert, who was involved in the difficult task of designing and manufacturing exceptional pieces, decided to start his own label after a long career with another renowned jeweler in Brussels, Holmans. Manalys was a poker play. Everything was decided in 24 hours for this astonishing house. In the difficult times of 2009, Moise Mann was obliged to leave his job, and at the same time, by the happiest chance, a friend offered to rent him this beautiful workshop.
It was under construction. I looked around the space and said, "It's not bad." And I told him, "I'll take it." He said to me, "If you want, we'll speak to the owner. He's upstairs." I didn't have any money or collections, but I said, in spite of it all, I'll take it.
Everything came together rapidly and with extraordinary luck. That same evening, thanks to the help of a neighbor, Moise Mann found an investor.
He said to be straight, "Are you not looking for an investor to open your shop?" And I said, "Perfect timing, I agree." At 10 p.m., I went to his house and explained that I had this idea, and I think it'll be great. He asked how much I needed. I told him the amount, and he said, "Here's the check." It was done in a day. The next day I was here. We prepared the contracts and everything was packed up. And this place is extraordinary. I like to say things don't happen by chance, and I don't think any of that happened by chance. You'll see when you enter the workshop, there's a double door, and on the right-hand side of these double doors, you have a saint. So there are saints, but there's only one saint for jewelers, and it's Saint Eloi. And he's over the door, even though there's never been a jewelry shop here. And that's how we started actually. It was me, my colleague, and a young apprentice. We were three. There was no one else.
So, it was under the best auspices that Manalys embarked on a voyage into the world of beauty and luxury in record time. Because the house had to find the stones and prepare a first collection that inspired desire. Not easy in just a few months.
When we started in 2009, we wanted to start with a different concept than what we're used to seeing. What I loved, because you should know that my background training is as a jeweler, I really worked at the bench, and therefore did not want to work collections. And by the way, at that time, I had no money at all. So we had to say, we're going to make unique pieces, and only that. So we started from there, and we continue to work like that.
With Manalys, if you're going to enter the world of fine jewelry, then it is above all an immersion into the universe of custom-made. What is the art of Moise Mann and his team? To make unique and surprising jewelry, full of creativity, while not neglecting the traditional technique. A style that clients will not see elsewhere. The unexpected is in store, and that is what their clientele comes to find. Whether from the United Arab Emirates or Kazakhstan, there are so many cosmopolitan fans.
J'avais beaucoup de contacts en Asie, je connaissais pas mal de fournisseurs, parce que j'avais voyagé quand même pas mal avec Holmans à ce moment-là. J'avais jamais acheté à ce moment-là.
I have many contacts in Asia. I knew quite a few suppliers because I traveled a lot with Holmans at the time. I'd never bought before, and then bit by bit I started to buy, and we worked on the stones. We made drawings, and from those sketches we created our pieces. And at the beginning, when we sold a piece, we offered the original design to the client. What helped us reach the level we have today is that we don't have collections in terms of our pieces. And each time we created a piece and sold it, we always had to question ourselves, question the design, find more beautiful stones, bigger or more unique, always trying to negotiate and reach a price that remains accessible. Because that's the hard part, meaning the ability to control the entire production chain was very important for us. Without that, I don't think we would have succeeded. And what's extraordinary is that we realized, at least in Belgium, we were on an empty road, meaning in this sector, in this niche market, there wasn't a competitor in sight.
On n'aurait pas pu y arriver. Et ce qui est extraordinaire, c'est qu'on s'est rendu compte que, en tous les cas en Belgique, c'est qu'on s'est retrouvé vraiment sur une autoroute vide. C'est-à-dire que dans ce secteur, dans cette particularité-là, il n'y avait personne.
The artisan jeweler has never been content with simply buying stones from Anvers or other markets. He goes looking for them essentially when they leave the mines. Asia, Thailand, Sri Lanka, the Burmese borders, Hong Kong. They're all destinations he visits regularly, looking for exceptional stones. A risk that only a professional can take, for whom it is important to meet the sellers at their home and then gradually to build relationships of trust and respect with them, to get the best of their production.
On a commencé essentiellement, il y avait beaucoup de saphirs. Parce que ce que j'adore chez le saphir, par exemple, c'est qu'il y a vraiment toute une palette de couleurs.
We essentially started with many sapphires, because I love the sapphire, because there's really a palette of colors, and they were reasonably priced at the time. We bought sapphires that stood out of the ordinary with lesser known colors. I bought green ones, pink ones, orange ones, yellow ones, even purple. There really is a whole palette. Color is one of my strong points. When I say this, I prefer colored stones. It's the color, then purity for me. What's very important is the non-treatment of the stone. I prefer to buy a stone where I really believe in it, instead of a stone because it's easy to sell.
Je préfère acheter une pierre où je crois véritablement à la pierre que d'acheter une pierre juste parce que j'ai plus facile à la vendre.
Between price, brilliance, and purity, Moise Mann is a master of precious stones who will guide you through in the face of a Cornelian dilemma.
The first thing we're going to look at is the color. You'll be naturally attracted to the most beautiful ones.
Quand on regarde la pierre de face, elle a un cristal exceptionnel.
When you look at the stone head-on, it has an exceptional crystal, and that is the second thing we look at. We first look at the color, second, crystallization. Is there an inclusion in it? Isn't there? Does it shine? Does it sparkle? And then what we look at as well is the purity. Here, if you look, there's nothing in the stone. It's pure, even under the magnifying glass.
Elle est pure, vraiment, à la loupe.
And then the size, of course. When you look at sapphires, for example, you'll find the cushion cut or an oval cut. It's much easier to find this size here. Sometimes you have a rectangle cut with rounded corners, which we call an emerald cut. But we rarely find brilliant cut or round stones. So essentially, it's going to be a cushion or oval.
C'est sûr que quand vous allez vous acheter une pierre, par exemple, chez un tailleur en Asie, c'est sûr que pour lui, le plus important, c'est le poids.
When you buy a stone cut in Asia, for them, the most important thing is the weight, because they sell their stones by the carat. A carat is a unit of weight. So the more carats the stone has, the more expensive it is. That's not what we're looking for. What we're looking for is a stone above all where we can exploit its color to the max. And that's important. We're going to buy stones, then rework them. The majority of our stones we cut again, because we simply open them up. We open up the color.
On va acheter la pierre et puis on va la retailler. La plupart des pierres, on va les retailler. La plupart des pierres, on va les retailler. Parce que simplement, on va la faire, on va vraiment l'ouvrir, on va ouvrir la couleur. Qu'est-ce qui détermine d'abord le prix du saphir? Parce que si on parle d'un prix...
What determines the price of a sapphire? If we just talk about price, we can't understand. First, there is the color, then the inclusions, and also where the stone comes from, and that determines its true price.
La provenance de la pierre. Je veux dire, ça détermine véritablement son prix. Je vous donne un exemple. Imaginons une pierre qui vient de Sri Lanka. Elle fait 5 carats.
Here's an example. Imagine a stone comes from Sri Lanka. It weighs 5 carats. It's cushion cut, perfectly cut, beautiful color. It's worth 1. The same stone, 5 carats as well, perfect cut, but from Burma. Instead of a 1, it's worth a 3. We're talking about the same stone. Imagine we have a blue sapphire, super color, 5 carats, from Kashmir. It's worth a 10. There are certain locations that influence the price.
Elle vaut 10. Il est certain que la provenance de la pierre impacte le prix.
Moise Mann will also tell you that 95% of the stones are heated, notably rubies, a process used to harmonize or accentuate the color in the stone, a way to quickly produce what nature takes thousands of years to do. When there is an inclusion, it will expand with the heat, and when the stone cools, it retracts, leaving a slight halo around its inclusion. This is how the use of this stratagem is observed. The stones are also heated to remove the fine lines, called the silks in the stone. It should be noted that in recent years, the price of non-heated stones has quadrupled.
Dans les saphirs, vous trouvez des pierres bien sûr incluses, il y a des inclusions. Dans l'émeraude, rubis aussi, hein, il y a des fois vous allez trouver des pierres pures où il n'y a aucune inclusion. Je peux vous en montrer.
In sapphires, of course, you'll find stones with inclusions. In emeralds also. Rubies too. Sometimes you find pure stones where there aren't any inclusions. In terms of emeralds, it's difficult to have a pure emerald. Why? Here too, what is the composition of the sapphire? A sapphire is a corundum, meaning it's a hard stone. So in terms of the crystallization of the stone, we also find stones that don't have inclusions. The emerald is a beryl, so it's a softer stone. So when it comes to crystallization, if there were thermal shocks or breaks, you'll see the cracks in the stones. This means we see many inclusions in emeralds. They're really not inclusions, but we refer to them in emeralds as gardens. Why do we say garden? Because they're simply micro cracks in the stone. The emerald is a very fragile stone. If you tell me I want to get engaged and I'm looking for a green stone, I would advise you to avoid the emerald, because it's destined for everyday wear, and the emerald is a fragile stone. For an engagement and marriage ring, I'm afraid that at one moment or another, the emerald will break.
Parce que c'est une pierre fragile et que si vous êtes censé la porter tous les jours pour une bague de fiançailles et de mariage, j'ai peur qu'à un moment donné ou à un autre, l'émeraude casse.
The strong point of the House of Manalys is to integrate its creative studio into the heart of its boutique. It's here that the raw materials take form, first with a pencil and the colors of a drawing, thought out by Sawako Narita, designer of Manalys jewelry, and then under the expert fingers of jewelers and crimpers who patiently use the passing hours to complete these exceptional achievements.
Et c'est vrai que le client s'est retrouvé là-dedans. Et je lui ai montré vraiment toute la palette. Et puis j'ai acheté des pierres plus importantes.
It's true that our clients get involved. I show them the palette, and then I buy the most important stones, a few crazy purchases. And what differentiates us from the rest is that we answer to what the client asks. We can do it all. That's our strength. We react quickly. If a client gives me an order today, we can deliver, if they need it, within 2 weeks. We have our own workshop, we set and crimp here. We even do our own designs here.
Donc on a l'atelier en interne, on a le sertissage en interne, le polissage en interne, et même le dessin en interne.
Here is a piece that is very representative of the expertise of the house, a stream of diamonds recalling stalactites and stalagmites on which two people, a manufacturer and a crimper, worked together for a month, alternating each step.
C'est comme si il y avait un ruissellement du haut vers le bas. Et en fait, ici, la pièce est entièrement pavée de diamants blancs et toutes les couleurs que vous voyez, ce sont des diamants naturels.
It's as if there was a runoff from top to bottom. The piece is essentially paved in white diamonds, and all the colors you see are the natural color of the diamonds. We have bright yellow and pink, a bit of light green. They're unusual colors when we look at it, which is really important. Since it's small, it's very important. The top part, this white part here, is a paving. So it's grain setting, and all the colored diamonds are set on a claw setting. We work with what we call a snow setting, meaning you have a paving, little stones and larger stones that are placed one next to the other. So you have very little visual material. And to give an aged look, we add a touch of black rhodium on the white part of the piece.
Et qui se placent l'une dans l'autre, et donc vous avez très peu de visuel matière. Et puis pour donner un côté un petit peu plus vieilli à la pièce, on a donné un petit coup de rhodium noir sur toute la partie blanche.
Moise Mann can talk for hours and tell you the many surprising and fun anecdotes about his craft. In doing his job, you cannot imagine the number of adventures that have happened during his travels to meet wealthy clients with surreal expectations. Like the simple fact of paying 50,000 euros to transport an exceptional stone through Europe, whose sale was not even yet finalized.
Je pense qu'un client qui veut acheter un bijou aujourd'hui, en tous les cas, et celui qui vient chez nous, cherche quelque chose qui sort de l'ordinaire.
I think that a client who wants to buy jewelry today, the ones who come to us, are looking for something out of the ordinary, which is no longer done by large companies that impose on their clients this or that stone, or even a said color or model. I think that's what sets us apart from big jewelry makers. The client comes here to buy quality pieces, quality stones at a price that is fair, and that's important. For a beautiful stone, it's true that prices are important. When you go into a big house, this price, it's not important. It's explosive.
Et que, malgré tout, mais bon, quand vous allez dans une grande maison, ce prix, il n'est pas important, il est explosif.
All that remains is to hope that all the fans of exceptional stones find their way to the house of Manalys.